This is Brad Goodman's 4G overhead plate test. That 332/7018 on the 3G turned into kind of an endurance test. So we're going to switch over to 1/8 for this plate. Let's do it.
This is 1/2 inch plate. Normally you would do a face and a root bend on straps about 1.5 inches wide, but this is 1/2 inch plate, so we're doing side bends. These are only 3/8 inch thick wide. But laying out these areas ahead of time kind of can guide you to where to put your restarts. You don't want to have a restart right on a strap.
Tell me when you're ready.
I am ready.
It's good to have a way to steady up. Arc strikes can fail your test on the visual. So Brad is lighting up way out there on the backing strap to give the rod plenty of time to heat up before he gets into the plate. He's using a very slight side-to-side manipulation, pausing on each toe of the weld to make sure not to leave any undercut, and really bearing down on that corner of the plate to make sure he consumes the backing strap and the corners of the bevel. Go ahead and stopping there so he can make it right through where he's laid out the strap areas.
See, if you use your two finger, your clutch will fall off like that.
For a restart, you want to strike up about 1 inch or so ahead of the crater, come back into the crater, and then just carry on. Sometimes when you do that, you'll get a little flux kind of wanting to flutter around. Just stay the course. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. Lighten up ahead. Pretty straight on angle, but now that flux is kind of trying to get in the way. Probably should have a little bit more drag angle for the restart here. But it takes a 2 or 3 seconds and then things clear right up once that rod heats up and the puddle heats up. That's a lesson learned. Probably want to have a little bit of a drag angle when you first restart and then transition to a straight in angle. I've sped this up quite a bit so you can see that rod feed in, but Brad will talk about this in just a minute on how he steadies up the rod on a restart and then gradually loosens up his grip on that rod as the rod burns down.
Like taking your welding test, having Jody filming the very first one over your head, your arm. He had already asked me to get between my legs a while ago.
I'm very intimidating.
One point to make is even though it's called overhead, it doesn't necessarily have to be over your head. Brad's sitting on a stool. Always be comfortable. Figure out a way to get comfortable.
That laid in there nice, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Machines are all a little different, but we're right on 125 amps.
When I'm making this joint, what I find out that helps me get stabilized the most, well, one thing would be, a prop. And the second thing would be if you watch my left hand. As I start, I kind of hold that rod still with my left hand. And as I'm welding, that rod's going to get hotter and hotter as you feed this way. If you watch, I'm steadily sliding my hand down as I'm feeding more rod, and I'll get down here to my electrode holder, and it actually helps me stabilize all the way through the weld.
Rod angle can be a little bit forgiving, and this is just about the perfect angle in my opinion, especially for your restart. Maybe a little bit more of a drag than that for your restart, and then right away transition to just a slight drag. Again, straight in works, even a slight push can work, but we're talking about optimal or what to shoot for. And usually when you're shooting for a straight in angle, you're going to have slight drag or slight push anyway, so it's good to shoot for straight in. That was the first bead after the root pass. Now we're going to put a second bead in there. We're going to stack it in there. We're going to center it up on the toe of that bead that we just put in there. And that's going to look something like this. This one's going to go along just a little slower because it's filling in just a little bit of a groove. We're trying to overlap that previous bead by about half and go slow enough to make it pretty much flush, not humped up, no undercut, straight in rod angle. Everything's going in pretty good. All right, we're in pretty good shape there, but something happened.
Okay, see, what had happened was I fell asleep at the wheel and I missed a couple of arc shots, and then my camera was messing up in addition to that. So I'm going to go ahead and clip in here the cover pass for a 4G overhead test that I did years ago. And we'll still talk about hand positioning, arc length, amperage, rod angle. Let's do it.
Okay, this is where I was years ago, and I wound up actually the same spot Brad was. I'm just a little bit low to put on that cover pass. So I've got to decide whether to just go a little bit slower or run a real quick stripper pass right down there to kind of fill it up. And I just decided to go just a little bit slower and let things kind of build up a little bit. So here's my first stringer bead, watching that right side, making sure I'm going slow enough not to leave undercut, but also build up enough to where I can fill in that low spot. Notice that I'm keeping just about a dead nuts 90-degree angle pointing up in there. That'll work for you. Slight drag like this to start with, but once you get going, you can use a dead nuts 90-degree angle. So now I'm just overlapping that first bead by half. Still trying to maintain that straight up and down rod angle. And then that last bead, I only put 3 beads on this one because it was a 3/8 thick plate. I'm just watching the left side of that bead, the toe of the weld, like an eagle to make sure that I go slow enough not to leave any undercut. But I don't want to build up too much to where I'm higher than an 1/8 of an inch reinforcement when I'm done. So on a 3 bead cap, that one's done. Plenty of room for improvement, but that's just how we think. We put Brad's plate on the track torch again. This is oxypropane here. And the good thing about that is you can cut with that tip quite a ways off. So you don't even have to adjust the tip to work distance when we're cutting this to compensate for that backing strap. These are side bends once again, so they're only 3/8 inch thick straps. Again, here's an easy way to pop that backing strap off once you get these straps cut on side bends. We're using a flap disc, probably about an 80 grit. If you use too fine a grit, it'll take forever, and you don't want too rough a grit, and you don't want sideways scratches. You want your scratches going lengthwise.
We used to be standing around first time as a kid, be doing one and go, with a hammer or something.
That was clean right there, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one I did?
Yeah. Remember when he left and he took over?
Yeah.
Remember when that happened?
Oh, look at those gloves. Those are some good looking gloves. Get right there. Oh, both those are clean as a pin right there. What kind of gloves are those again? Oh, okay.
Well, Margaret.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I always enjoy working with both Brad and Matt. I hope you guys got something out of this. Stay tuned for the next Welder Skills video.